They lied. Plain and simple, they lied. They knew they were lying, they're still lying, and they don't give a shit. One of their representatives came out and tried to distance themselves from the other group under the premise that, oh, we want to keep our news brand trustworthy. Nothing about you has been trustworthy for almost a decade. And coming out and worrying more about your news brand as opposed to the mental well-being of the people that you just put in danger and jeopardy, you should be ashamed of yourself and you should be charged. I'm Matthew Heneghan, retired paramedic, and I'm here to talk to you about the recent controversy involving, I'm a little heated, so I might jumble over my words. The recent controversy involving our state media, the CBC. The CBC, the people that we are supposed to trust with our, I don't know, our news, our narratives, things like that. This is what they did. They have a really generic headline here. CBC pausing production on a satirical Indigenous show. That headline alone is ironic. It's not satirical. It was never meant and never designed to be satirical. The individuals filming the show may have thought it was funny. One of those individuals isn't even Canadian. He's an American receiving Canadian money, taxpayer money, to further promote their leftist ideological leanings. This isn't just an issue of left-leaning political and right-leaning political. This is ideologues. These are people, fanatics. These are fanatics that are at the helm of CBC, paid for by the CBC, which is subsequently paid for by us, people like me, people like you, that fund this shit. And they targeted RCMP veterans, among other academics and conservative voices. But I'm here to talk mostly about the RCMP side of things, because as a former first responder, obviously it hits a nerve within me. And what they did is so dangerous. It is so dangerous. And all in the name of their own diseased, perverse thinking. Because at the end of the day, truly, these people have no idea what the RCMP do for a living. They have no idea what the RCMP see and go through every day. They have no concept, no concept at all of what it is like to be an RCMP officer. They have the most impossible job in the world. Do you want to know what it is? It is to reason with the unreasonable. That's their job. People are always harping on about how cops need better mental health training. Over 90% of the calls that cops go to are involving mental health. And the only calls you hear about are like that finite below 1% that make it to the news because it ends badly. But we use that to make broad, sweeping generalizations of police officers and the things they do, calling them racist, calling them misandrists, calling them murderers, child stealers if you're Indigenous. You know, they have this stupid name for RCMP officers about taking children, which did not happen, but it's a narrative that gets pushed. It's a narrative that gets continued and perpetuated by our state-funded media, which, you know, I've written for the CBC. I have articles that I've written for the CBC. I'll find it here. CBC, click on Matthew Heneghan, and there it is. Okay. So if we go right here, you'll see, there it is. I'm a freelance contributor with the CBC. So I'm not hired by the CBC. I'm a freelance contributor, and I write these things called first-person articles. Most of them are to do with life and service or addiction. And I've been torn, man. I've been really torn. I've been thinking about reaching out to them to ask them to tear down those stories. And only after having a serious conversation with somebody very close to me, very important to me. They said that those stories, albeit housed on CBC, reach far more people and mean far more than the CBC does. The merit of those stories stands. And so it would be a shame for me to take them down and thus limit the reach of who the stories are going to reach and who they're going to run into. But I'm still torn. I still think about it because I am so disgusted that the CBC did this. I'm going to let this guy tell you in his own words what the CBC did. And I think that it does a far better job of explaining what truly happened because he truly went through it. So we're going to watch a little bit of that and then I'll chime in some more. But here you go.
What you're about to watch was an elaborate prank. Prank, wrong word, but something that happened.
This is Clinton Jaws, and I will link his video down in the comments.
I was told it was from the BBC, but honestly, I don't even know if that's true. I don't even know it's real anymore. I got a lawyer. At the end of this, I'm going to show you guys a picture of the crew. If you have info on them.
It's exactly who you think it is, by the way.
I don't even know where to start. I don't even know. I wasn't even going to. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. You always start from the beginning, right? I'm one of the cops out of 6 that they pranked. It wasn't even a prank. It was something very odd.
Mean-spirited.
And
ideological character assassination.
Around me when it was happening to me. Hopefully, I'm just going to spend 20 minutes telling you guys what happened to me. January, I'm sitting around my computer. I open up my computer and there's an email. This guy, Michael Burnett. Hey, I'm with the BBC. We're going to do a series, and it's also going to be aired on the CBC.
So let me pause this. I'm going to read this for you. It says, "Hi, Clinton. I hope you don't mind me emailing you out of the blue. My name is Michael, and I'm a television producer working in the UK or with the UK-based production company, Nova Frame Productions, on a brand new documentary-style series for BBC Two in the UK and CBC titled After the Call. The series looks at life after retirement from policing, exploring how individuals adjust when a career often defined by service, structure, and huge responsibility comes to an end. Through relaxed conversations and observational framing, the program will focus on new jobs or roles, routines, interests, and passions, and reflections on how life in policing can shape the people who people are beyond the uniform. While the majority of our filming will take place in the UK, one episode of the series will focus on retired officers from the Commonwealth countries. For this episode, we are hoping to speak with retired RCMP members who may be willing to take part in the program. I initially found your profile on LinkedIn, which led me to your YouTube account, and I wanted to get in touch to see if you might have any interest at all. Filming would take place across a small number of days from mid-February through to the end of April, depending on people's schedules and commitments, but we can be quite flexible within that. Those who we film will be paid, and travel and accommodations relating to filming also arranged and paid by production. No prior TV media experience is required. If this might potentially be of interest to you, please get back in touch with me and we can arrange a call or Zoom next week to hatch out more details. Thanks for your time. Michael Burnett, producer, Nova Frame Productions." Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's so funny. Oh, man, it's so witty. So witty. After the call. After the call. They know what the hell they're doing. They know who they're targeting, and they know, at least even on a rudimentary level, that retired members go through hell. Or can go through hell. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Major depressive disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder. A host of any other things. Those are just my 3. Complex PTSD. There's another one. They know this stuff. They have access to all the information ahead of time, and they still went ahead and did what they did. Absolutely disgusting.
See, and I thought, what the hell? What the hell? Yeah, okay. And he told me it's going to be called After Do Part of It Over, okay? I'll pay for it. And they said, sure. It's awesome. On my dime. Nova Frame Productions. I don't even know. I'm watching King Charles make an announcement on live TV in front of the audience. Every time he wanted to say something bad about the RCMP, he's talking to the audience, right? And we're sitting over here. He would go like this. And you know what we call you guys? And he says, nucka something. You're the ones that take us away. And I'm like, I remember doing a video about that.
As Vice Chief Terry Teague from
what'd he have to say?
From British Columbia Assembly of First Nations explained to the committee, and I'm quoting, "In my language, we call the RCMP Nilchukun, which interpreted in our language is those who take us away."
And now I'm starting to get angry.
Those who take us away. I'm gonna reveal something to you here, okay? I would say that 80 to possibly even 90% of my calls that I did as a paramedic involved Indigenous representation. 80 to 90%. I don't think that's an exaggeration. I worked in a city that was surrounded on all sides by reserves, so I spent a lot of time out on reserves. I dealt with many different Indigenous communities. I worked across 3 provinces. I've seen many, many reserves. I went to an apartment. It was an apartment for an overdose. We walk in, there was a young guy in his 20s laying on the ground, and we walk in and we work him. No go. No good. No pulses back at any time. So we call in medical control and ask for a cease of resuscitation attempts. The order was granted. So we stopped working and we stopped doing chest compressions. We stopped doing everything. And the young female that was in the room, also in her 20s, also Indigenous, broke down, screaming, crying, of course, grief. That lasted probably a minute to 2 minutes. And then she got up and she ran at us. And she's thumping on my chest, and I'm trying to hold her back, and my partner Ryan grabs her and moves her, and some firefighters are there, and they're trying to separate her from us too. And she's calling me a dirty munya. You fucking munya. Which is like kind of dirty white man, like a white man. Those who are not Indigenous. It is not a term of endearment. There are those who will try to say it's just a description. It's not used that way colloquially. And then she called us racist, said we didn't try to save him, we didn't care about saving him. I tried. I fucking tried really hard. I worked really hard. I ran through all the protocols. Ryan and I did everything we could. We even threw sodium bicarb in the IV line. That's how long we were working this code for. We threw sodium bicarb in there just as a fucking Hail Mary. For those of you who don't know what that is, please just look it up and you'll understand. And we still get blamed. And then we have institutions like the CBC who are willing to go and target RCMP. I couldn't have done my job as a paramedic without the RCMP. I wouldn't have been able to go to half the calls I went to. We work so closely with our police agencies. And I'm not sure what it's like in America, but in Canada, we work very, very well with police. We have a bit of a rivalry with city fire, municipal fire, and paramedics have a bit of a rivalry, not nearly as intense as you might see in, say, New York. We have a few dual services and a lot of just standalone paramedic services in Canada. And so we get along very well with police because we go to a lot of the same calls. We get to know the people. We get to know the officers. And so we work hand in hand with constabulary. Hand in hand. So when I heard this and I watched Clinton's video, I took it personally. I don't know Clinton on a personal level. I've spoke to him tangentially through social media, the same as anybody else can reach out to him or whatever. But I've watched enough of his videos to know his humor style, to know that he's been through some shit. There's a lot of stuff that he doesn't say in his videos. There's a lot of stuff that's just in the silence that you can kind of pick up on, especially if you've done the job, if you're initiated. And it is irresponsible of the CBC to attempt a character assassination, especially they asked them to bring their Red Serge. They asked them to dress up in their dress uniforms. This was the highest form of humiliation. This was an ideological group highly motivated by Indigenous lens to humiliate the RCMP because of their subjective belief about who the RCMP are. Listen, there are some real truths that we need to discuss as a country in order to move on to reconciliation. Reconciliation right now doesn't exist because reconciliation is in perpetuity. They want payment forever. Forever payment. Money. You take money away, there's a big issue. You're fucking over our rights. Oh my God, terrible stuff. You want pipelines, you want this, you want that. Oh my God, it is not a workable system, and it hasn't been for generations. There's a problem within Indigenous communities. And they hand that problem off to people that look like me. I'm an immigrant to this country. I had nothing to do with the formation of this country and how it came to be, but they hand it off to people who look like me just because. Because I look the way I do and because I have the opinions I do, there are entities like the CBC or sects within the Indigenous community that would love to see me character assassinated. Because to have the real, honest conversations, we have to talk about personal accountability. There are a lot of things that the Indigenous community does and individuals do, Indigenous individuals do, that are harming not only our society, but their community as well. The Statistics Canada, Justice Canada, RCMP have all come out with reports and statistics and analytics that never gets talked about in the mainstream media, especially by CBC. But we have these days, Truth and Reconciliation Day, Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women Day. This one lady, NDP activist, she calls it a genocide. There's a genocide happening toward murdered and missing Indigenous women. What she never says is that the solve rate for murdered and missing Indigenous women is 88%. That is according to Justice Canada, 88%. Of that, 70% of the murders are committed by Indigenous men. 70%. Why don't we address that? Because to me, those high numbers seem like a problem. Those high numbers seem like there's something we should be talking about, but we don't talk about it. We just use fanciful terms like genocide, and we try to apply that to a country to hold them accountable to ask for money. We use terms like mass grave when there's been no earthly remains uncovered. We use language that doesn't match what's actually happening, and the media promulgates it because they are no longer journalists. They are narrative script writers. They write a script. They push a script, they peddle a narrative. And that narrative then led to a talk show or a satirical show like this, where they took 6 RCMP officers and invalidated their entire career on stage. And the people, who they look like, is exactly who you think they are. It's exactly who you think they are. See if I can find the picture online here. There's a picture here, but it doesn't actually show them. Okay. You know what? Give me a second. I'm just going to mute that. Here. Yeah, just give me a second. He does post a picture at the end, and I will try to show you that picture here in a moment. Boom. There we go. All right. This is who it is. That's who it is. Gets Crazy Boy, Dakota. They look exactly how you think they would look. They look exactly how you think they would look. And you may say, well, what does that matter? What do you mean by that? What I mean by that is, when you leave mental unwellness unchecked for long enough, eventually it bleeds to the outside. If you think I'm wrong, go online, take a look at any of these activist videos or these people that promote this stuff, these crazy, irrational feminists. I'm not talking about women who believe in women's rights. I'm talking about the blue hair. I'm talking about the Twitter warriors. I'm talking about the holding signs up that aren't even spelled correctly about fascism and patriarchy and glass ceilings. Look at them. Look at them. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're all the same. They look identical. And it's because when you leave mental unwellness unchecked, it eventually bleeds to the outside. And we have, I don't know when it happened. I don't know if it was 2020. I don't know what happened, but we got to a point, or if it's just because Canada was too polite, we got to a point where we just started buying into everyone's delusions, or at least just allowing them to pass unchecked. And now we're in this crazy mess where we can't have rational conversations without the term bigotry, without the term phobic, without the term racist. You can't have any conversations without those terms being thrown about. That is not a workable society. There are tough questions that need to be asked and tough answers that need to be looked for. And you can't have them when you try to shut down those tough questions. You know, it's so much easier to be left. And I'm not talking moderate left, people who just kind of lean a little bit left. I'm talking about like the far left-leaning ideologues. The people who refuse to budge, the people who refuse to have the same as on the right, but it's far easier to be left. You know why? Because it's easier to just say things like, yeah, we should have free healthcare. We should have free healthcare. We should have free healthcare for everybody. Nobody's illegal. Nobody's illegal. We should use people's respected pronouns. Yeah, even the made-up ones, even the ones that haven't even been invented yet. We should do it because it sounds easy and it sounds good. But when you ask tough questions like, okay, we should have free healthcare, where does the money come from to pay for that healthcare? Who pays for it? Who's going to fund top-of-the-line equipment for socialist healthcare for an aging demographic in a society that isn't having kids at a fast enough rate to replenish the workforce? Who's going to pay for it? And how long are those payments going to last? Because eventually they're going to run out of your money to pay for it. Nobody's illegal. Okay. Take your door off your hinges. Take down your community, your gated community. Take down your fence line. Allow anybody that wants to walk into your house to walk into your house. You won't do it because you know how stupid it is. And if you know how stupid it is, you have to go, okay, well, I guess, yeah, some border control kind of makes sense. Well, within having border control, you're going to have sad stories because you're going to have people who try to exploit. You're going to have people evading desperate situations to try and come into your country. And they're going to get caught up in the quagmire of bureaucracy. We don't live in a utopia. We live in the real world. And the real world is messy. The real world is nuanced. The real world requires empathy. And what the CBC did and APTN, that is not empathy. That is retribution. That is not reconciliation. There was nothing reconciliatory about what they did. They played with people's lives. They played with people's lives. The Veterans Affairs, which RCMP fall under for aftercare, released a report, a 41-year cohort talking about veteran suicides. In Canada, every 9 days, a veteran dies by suicide. Every 9 days. Male soldiers 29 and under have a 158% higher suicide rate than the average populace. Females within the military have a 115% higher suicide rate than the average populace. The CBC has no excuse for not knowing these numbers. They are a media organization, just like that one CBC representative said, oh, we don't want it to impact our news relation side of the house. Well, then you have no excuse to not know these numbers. You have no excuse to not have read this 85-page report that is open to the public, that anybody can read, that is on my computer right now. And yet you still greenlit a show that brings that vulnerable sect of veterans onto a stage to be humiliated, to be castigated, and to be denigrated for their service. I hope that there is a law firm out there that sues both the CBC and APTN into fucking oblivion. But if you really want to know where this country's going, why don't you take a look at the social handles of all of our liberal leadership? Not one has come out and condemned this. And silence in a scenario like this is permission. So shame on you. Shame on you. That's all I got to say.